Well, good afternoon. Call the 21st of September's Finance Committee meeting to order. I apologize for being a few minutes late. I don't have my agenda yet up on my computer.
Joe.
First, any public comment this afternoon? Items that not otherwise are on our agenda. Members, we had thank you. We had minutes included in our packet. Somebody wish to make a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Today, we're principally going to hold a public hearing on the warrant articles for the special town meeting. So I believe one of my parliamentarians over here will tell me that we have to call the public meeting to order. Correct? Which we'll do. And I think what we'd like to do is just take them in order. And as we go through this, invite anybody in the public to make comments, and we also, I think, members have comments they would like to make or questions they want to ask. They should, and I think that will elicit enough discussion so that we have a pretty good idea collectively of intent and where we are. I would say that some of these have been discussed with the Board of Selectmen, and so there is some reasonably recent information. So Article 1, anybody in the public want to speak to Article 1? Yes, Andrew.
Mr. Chairman, I find this just to let you know the planning board held its public hearing and has given this article a positive recommendation.
Okay. Just typically for those on the committee to remind them on these types of articles that are zoning related, it's usually the case that the Finance Committee accepts the recommendation of the Planning Board. It's not necessary that we do so, but so thank you on that, Andrew. Is there everybody understands what's going on here? I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, so, okay. Moving on.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah, please, Chris.
Probably for Andrew. Just I'm trying to understand the definitions that are in here in the highlighted area, which I guess is new language.
Or on Article 2?
1 or 2?
2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake.
Are you all set on 1?
I am all set on my mistake. I was thinking there was always 1.
All right. Article 2, any comments from the audience? Same issue, Andrew?
Yes, this article was also heard by the planning board and has a positive recommendation.
And would you just, for the members of the committee, and refresh us as to why we're doing 1 and 2 and the importance of the order?
Sure. So Article 1, which we talked about, is a temporary moratorium. What that means is that basically there cannot be the issuance of a special permit until after the date now is December 31st, 2018. That is done because there is a state cannabis control commission, which is putting together rules and regulations for the retail sale of marijuana, and those rules will not be out and available until sometime, I believe, in March. Is that right, Lenny? March 15th, thank you. So that's too late for us to fully understand that with our annual town meeting schedule. So in the event that somehow that this does need a 2/3 majority to pass, it's a zoning article, we also want to have a zoning article defining the zoning districts where both an updated version of the medical marijuana and retail marijuana can be located. And then there's some specifics around that medical and retail can be located together only, and that marijuana establishments cannot be accessory uses.
Chris?
Yeah, I just had a question about exactly that last part. Is that, it's structured though, right? It doesn't mean necessarily in the same business. So I'm thinking if you had sort of multiple, for lack of a better, strip mall, I know we don't call them that here.
Right.
It couldn't be one of those.
That's right, it has to be a standalone.
In a way the same way on liquor licenses here, or are we that way?
No, we do allow liquor licenses right now in the strip mall, in with other businesses. And again, I think this is all fairly new. I mean, eventually it may evolve to that, but for now.
And I'm just curious on what the rationale of that is.
There's a number of restrictions around marijuana establishments. They can only be cash businesses right now. There's concerns about security. There's special rules from the state about that. So it's that much harder to control it. And again, the strip mall with common walls and ceilings, things like that. I think a lot of it is about lack of experience right now as this thing, as it emerges. I mean, it's brand new for the state. So, and again, we don't have the final rules in regs yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other comments? Thanks. Article 3, local option tax on the sale of recreational marijuana. Any comments on that? That would bring our ability to tax up to 3%, which is allowed by law. And I think at town meeting we authorized, what, 2.5%? That was the, or 2%, whatever the original statutory.
Why don't we just wait on that also, if we're going to wait to see what the rules are and everything else?
I think it's a timing issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we want to get on it, whatever it is.
And that's above and beyond the state tax. It's local.
What we want to get in on is part of the state tax, because that's considerably higher than 3%. But that's not going to happen. Any other comments on 3? Article 4 is the appropriation for the fire station, and I understand the bids are not yet in or have been completed, so just procedurally, Libby, how will we handle this? Will we have, go ahead.
Do, about October 25th?
The sub-bids are the 11th and the 25th, the general contract.
So there's going to need to be some amount of time for evaluation of the submittals, and probably the work group will be convened for that. So you are going to have to do a motion that is presented at town meeting. So I didn't even get so far to try to schedule a meeting for you all yet to do that, but it probably ought to be group, 25th is a Wednesday, so we say that, could maybe schedule, we'll talk to the OPM about when to schedule a work meeting. I'm thinking out loud here, maybe that could be Monday the 30th. Now, you have a meeting already on Thursday, 2nd, 8:30, to go over any last minute issues with Friday's special. You could do it then, but it's going to take half an hour, or you want to do more than that. So, might have to figure out how to get quickly and forward on that.
Well, if we have a discussion about it, let's say next Tuesday, absent a final number, just so we know where we stand, would
You do it.
we,
Yeah, we're definitely not going to have a number.
we're not going to have a number, but we could have a discussion about it. We sort of know what the numbers, we have a range.
Well, that was sort of my question. So I understand we don't have a firm bid. I was just wondering whether we have is it 3, is it 4, is it, what's the?
I don't know if we even have that.
The idea of the bids and going out when it was, and the general contractors, the final bids coming in, and they have a number at town meeting, still have a special election, and have a number that's, a bid that's no good after that
Sure.
special election. That's why the timing is the way
Way
it
it
is.
is. So I guess but George, you're going to have an idea, right? I mean, we're going to know, to Joe's point,
They haven't talked to the estimators or anything like that this time, because of what had happened last time. They're just going with the bid and certainly reach out to the OPM and ask, and we'll get some sort of number that potentially is where it is. That's, we haven't done that right now.
I think it would make a difference to this committee if we're, let's say, in the range of 3 to 4 versus 8 to 10. We probably would have a different discussion. Maybe not.
We can ask
Have
them
a
to do
discussion.
Pardon me?
We'd have a discussion. Sorry.
We can ask them about it and try to give you an update of whatever comes back by next week's meeting.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I can't remember all the numbers, but I guess when the last time we had a conversation about this, the gap was $2 to $3 million, or $2.5 to $3.5 million, and I guess I feel prepared that if that's where we're going, I'm supportive. But like you say, if it comes in $8 to $9 million, then it's like, wait a minute, we got fooled again, so to speak.
Okay, well, with the idea that maybe we have something to have a discussion about next week, let's do it, and then hopefully we can just combine it with a meeting on the 2nd with the final number. If not, we'll make another plan.
And with that, do we know the cost of doing nothing? Of not taking any action at all on a new fire station? Do we have costs associated with that?
Yeah, more.
I mean, it always will cost more.
Well, I
but
mean, no, just there's trailers that would have to be put in, stuff like that, but. Only guessing.
Any other comments on 5? Or 4, excuse me. Article 5, which is a supplemental appropriation for a project at the airport. Any comment on that, Tom? Anything?
Brief committee if you'd like.
Sure.
It's a request for an additional appropriation of $403,000. We put the project out to bid. We received bids in the amount of $2,764,215. The FAA rejected it, so we rebid the project. It came in at $2,335,990. That's for construction only. So we're requesting the additional for the entire project to be complete. And this will be 90% FAA funded and 5% state funded.
So our obligation as town is, or the airport's commission's, or airport's obligation is 5% of the overall project cost. Is that correct? And refresh us on how much of a lag time there is on cash received on these kinds of projects when we're getting reimbursed.
And Brian, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's fairly quickly. It's an electronic transfer type of thing. So it's probably within 30, 45 days. I believe.
Upon submittal of presumably something on.
Yeah, each pay application and pay right through.
And that's a pretty smooth process.
It's been very smooth since we've been looking over the program. I mean, we've started authorizing the entire project, so we have the ability to go for cash flow, but then when the grant money comes in, it's time to pay the band down, and then we permanently borrow the airport share, and that's it. So it's worked very well.
Great. And does it get done usually within your 2-year window on bands?
It gets done within the window.
Yeah, great. Any other questions? Article 6, infrastructure improvement. This is a project that we had a fair amount of discussion about the last time we met, partially because we were unsure as to what the overall scope and the long-term implications of National Grid upgrading the service to Pulpus and our desire or the desirability of piggybacking along with them when the streets get open. So been a little bit more discussion, but I don't Libby from Town Administration, would you like to lead this, or do you want to defer to?
I can explain a little bit if there's questions. However, we did get word from National Grid yesterday that they are not intending to proceed with this project this fall or winter. They would want to proceed in about a year from now. So I don't think we'll need to do this as a special, as it turns out, but we are going to need to work on something for the annual, which will give us a little bit more time to work on some of the items that we've talked about. So just for the whole committee to know, I've talked to some of you about this. This is a project that National Grid came to the town with very recently, not in a conventional way. And there have been more in a somewhat casual way of we're doing a project that involves opening up a whole bunch of streets up to improve the Pulpus distribution system. And we're going to be starting this fall. And we said, well, hold on a minute. There's a lot of streets that have a lot of town infrastructure, and then we would want to, if given the opportunity and the funding availability, improve while the streets are open. So that became something of a discussion, and we asked them to provide us with engineering confirmations that are going to take longer than a couple of months to prepare. So I think that's the reason for them to delay the project. Once we have all of that information, we could probably give you all an update. We're going to be taking these projects to the capital program committee anyway, so your rep can help us explain it to you when we get to that point. But I think this could probably at this point, and hopefully I'll know more by Tuesday, be a take no action.
So is it, if this gets pushed to the annual town meeting, when we have a discussion about this, will we be able to have a contextual discussion about what the longer term implication is in terms of what we may be signing up for infrastructure improvements?
Yes,
Because that sounds like it's more than just Mulberry and Back Street.
it is likely to be more than those two cases.
If I may, as long as, and Great obviously discloses well in advance the other areas of the town, like downtown,
Yeah.
specifically, which streets?
Yeah. We need to complete the projects though.
Yeah.
And so I assume various people that would be involved from the town will be driving that process so that,
Yep. One of the things we discussed today was getting a map of, once we have a complete project area. And we basically know the project area, but once they've been able to put on a map sort of their color of utilities that they're going to be dealing with, put in water lines, sewer lines, stormwater, in different colors so that they can see kind of a map of where things are, and then it'll just visually easier to determine and show what the scope of the project is from our end. And those two departments can evaluate where those things might have been already programmed to happen and where they might be reprogrammed or rescheduled to happen as a result of this project. So it's probably going to result in some reshuffling of our capital projects, but hopefully not in a way that will disrupt other systems.
great. Any other questions? Any comments? People that are affected, okay. Article 7, citizens article for district improvement financing. Anybody, audience like to speak to that? Any questions from?
Do we not have a recommendation for or against as far as the town's position? I know we talked about it before. Did we?
I mean, we certainly could take no action if that's the pleasure of the committee.
No, I mean, I've looked more into the diff, and I don't see a problem with the diff. I just didn't know what the position was from the selectmen and the town administration. No.
Anybody wish to represent that viewpoint, or?
Mr. Chairman, the chairman of the board could address that. There was a discussion about it at the August 23rd last night.
And I think that the ultimate conclusion was that we'd like to potentially pursue something in April for financing the Old South Road corridor, but probably through a more traditional borrow.
Great, thanks, Don. So I think that's,
So we've determined this isn't a good way of doing it, or isn't it a good way, or we just got opinion from some professional? That's how
I don't know that the committee has made a decision about whether it's a good way or a bad way. I think that the discussion at the selectmen's meeting, where our financial advisor attended, was that this method of financing the improvements in Old South Road is not necessary. That we have plenty of capability, capacity, to just fund it as we would a capital project. And I think the discussion, correct me if I'm missing my facts, Don or Libby, the discussion with the selectmen was around moving forward, trying to get the improvements which have been now preliminarily costed by Mike Burns for the improvements, which came in around $10 million plus or minus, I think, is what I saw.
And I think we're going to need to add some contingency and other items that weren't included in this cost.
For the improvements, and that there was a commitment first to get them to the Capital and Programs Committee, just so that we're following the procedures that we've said we were going to follow, and that there was a commitment then in the springtime or in the town meeting to advance some or all or a portion of the projects. So I think that's where we stand, and that we would go through our traditional borrowing route. This does not confer any particular favorable financing. It doesn't reduce our interest rates. It just, at least listening to the financial advisor, it adds a layer of administrative burden, if nothing else, and administrative friction. So in my discussions outside of this meeting with the proponent of the article, one strong message that I took away was the desire to see something done. So, and I think that the selectmen have responded appropriately, and I think if there's a good faith effort to move forward with it and bring it to town meeting, then we should be all set. Any other comments? Article 8, the Tom Nevers Bike Pass, another citizen's article, and this is basically to pull this article, which is scheduled for 2020 or 2022 in terms of the capital, and pull it forward.
There's construction funding in 2020, design and
Okay, construction in 2020, design in 19.
I'm sorry, it looks like it had been listed in, I'm just reading from the email that Mike Burns sent me, it had been listed in FY 21 and 22 prior to the, FY 31, in the regional transportation fund, if federal funding were used. It's the fifth priority bike path project. He says Tom Nevers, FY 19 design funding request, FY 20 construction funding request, so that might be revised from the tip. But it's obviously not as close as the proponents.
Any comments on this particular article?
So 19, talking fiscal year, so it'd only be a year from now, wouldn't it? It's not like, it's that far away.
Is that what we're talking about, or are we talking about 31?
Well, Andrew, do you know? 'Cause I'm not really interpreting Mike's email.
I think it's dependent on, I mean, it can still move around, but it's, FY 19 is this year, is that not right? So, I think, I guess I can't.
Mike Burns seems to be saying that, I guess as far as he's concerned, the project is already likely to be requesting design funding in 19.
Okay.
It's already kind of in the queue.
And a source of funds for that would be out of our general operating budget for design?
That is going to come in as a capital request,
Okay.
so we haven't listed
Chapter 90 money like we do for the rest of the bike pass?
Chapter 90 money is not applicable to design.
Oh.
All right. Any other questions? Article 9, which is a real estate appropriation article from the Board of Selectmen to acquire a piece of property, the corner of Washington and I never know what that short section is. Francis. Is it Francis there?
Yeah.
Spoken like a neighbor, it sounds like. So it's to buy the landward side of that corner to smooth out the turns. Any comments from audience? Funding source for this, Libby?
The board is going to be having a discussion about funding source alternatives at its meeting next week. So this is likely to be something that is going to need to be a motion at a later time after next Tuesday. So we can't entirely confirm that.
Okay.
Do we have a,
We
do
do have some thoughts on
we have a purchase price or an estimated purchase price?
520.
520K?
The entire cost of the parcel that the town would be acquiring is $1 million, but the town would be paying outright 520, and the balance would be funded through a credit of other town-owned land that is in a different transaction with the land bank, so they're basically crediting us the balance.
Any other comments or questions?
David,
Yes.
back to Article 8. In last year's cap budget, the bike path was in 2021 and 2022. 1.5 in 2021 and 750 in 2022.
So that's for the 2 phases of the construction.
Yeah.
And
We would not get specific with those out years as we would something within a 3-year period of time. So
but how about design?
it's not earmarked.
Not,
as-
yeah. But it's going to come back, it'll be up for discussion in the capital committee, okay? Article 10 is a real estate conveyance, as is 11, as is 12. We have heard from, we can take these separately. These have all gone to the real estate advisory committee. It was chaired by Rhoda Weinman, is now chaired by John Brescher. They reviewed them. I think you all got a copy of their response. So we can take them, why don't we just take them all together? Is there any comment on any of the articles, 10, 11, or 12? Any questions from the
What-
committee about them?
Why the parcels in 12? What are those for?
I'm going to defer to our parcel expert over here.
The miscellaneous parcels, though, that is all clearing up title issues.
Okay.
So those have old, essentially treasurer's deeds that were never foreclosed on.
Okay.
So this is really just to put them in the name of the town anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on 10, 11, and 12? Would note that the committee made positive recommendations on all of those. 13 is an easement for grid for a pump station. Obviously, a request coming from, put forth by the selectmen. I assume that we need to, David's here somewhere, I assume we need to go forward with this?
Yeah, this is for the existing transformer that was there is too small, so we had to put in a new one and bring it up to all new regulations and code. So this is to come from the pole, one of the properties to the back, new transformer pad.
Okay.
And do easements transfer with new owners? So if it's not Nantucket Electric in the future, easements always transfer?
If they're written right.
Okay. No, just checking.
We had to do a temporary license to get the project going. This is just a final thing.
Okay. Anything else on 13? Article 14, real estate conveyance on industrial land. Linda, this is your article. Would you like to make a comment? We're on 14.
Industrial.
Industrial land. I think we're being recorded. If you'd like, just speak or speak up, which isn't going to be a problem.
I was asked by a lot of the guys that were having trouble getting property out of the airport, and that's what they said. And we're gonna get into an argument about it. We have the 5 acres that are next to the tank farm, and there was a move, I believe, Libby, I don't know how long ago, to lease that land out or convey it out, and it was pulled back. And the guys, there's quite a lot of contractors that have been displaced by Richmond and a few other parcels that have gone to more residential use. And they would like to lease the land of contractors, landscapers, all kinds of, tradesmen, who have absolutely nowhere to go. And with some of the adjustments in zoning, they don't really have anywhere to go, and they can't afford to buy a commercial piece. So several of them want to go in together on an acre, or each one gets 15,000 square feet, but it's land that's already industrial. And they asked me to put it in sooner rather than later, since they're all sort of a vagabond right now, hiding in plain sight in certain locations I know of, that they would like to be able to lease land from the town for their uses, or purchase the land from the town. So that's why it's in there. They don't need a full acre, most of them, they can look like Bunker Road.
Yep.
Everybody has a piece.
Right.
And they weren't willing, the airport apparently, according to them, wasn't willing to lease one of those acres, I guess there's 3 acres left. One 1 acre parcel and then 2 acre parcel, I have to look at it too much. They wanted to go in on it together, 3 contractors, and there's no subleasing of airport property, so they sort of couldn't do that at that time. But I say, I'm not getting into an argument what the airport commission did or did not do. You guys asked me to put some statements on it again.
Okay. Right.
Mr. Chairman, just for the committee's benefit, we are out publicly advertising right now for approximately 5 acres of land on Bunker Road for half acre and 1 acre parcels. It's out.
To lease.
For lease, yes.
And just so you know, that was not known at the time we put this in,
Mhm.
that they were going to bend and make them less than 1 acre or less than 2 acres. So, but between their acreage and our acreage, that should cover a lot of the people that are illegally using land they should not, and get them out of the middle of residential zone and give them enough space. So I'll give you an example of Bamba, has very large trucks and very large equipment. Another guy's got a crane which is sitting down the street from my house, which it shouldn't be. So these guys need fairly sizable pieces of property, the big guys.
We also have another 5 acres on Sun Island Road out as well. It's a total of 5 acres could be contiguously leased as all or some.
I will convey that, that's
Yeah.
That's, 30 that are down the street from me.
Is it the intent of the commission to look at that 5 acre parcel in the future to be leased out, or is
They're
it?
both back out publicly now.
Oh, the whole, okay.
Yeah, both Sun Island and Bunker. Bunker for smaller type and Sun Island for
Mhm.
larger.
How many on Bunker?
Bunker's about, both of them about 5, but Bunker is broken down into like 1 acre and half acre parcels, and then Sun Island can be contiguously up to 5 or 6 acres.
And does the commission have an opinion on subleasing?
I know we've done it in the past, I don't know that there's
if you would convey that, that would be great. It sounds like there may be opportunities going on that are currently up for. Any other comments on 14? Article 15. These are amendments to the sewer district map. Bartlett Farm Road and Hummock Pond Road. Have any public comment on that? This was taken up yesterday at last night at the Selectmen's meeting, and I don't know, Libby or Andrew or Dawn, one of you wish to.
We voted to table this, to suggest that it be tabled, and brought back in April because there's a number of potential unintended consequences that could come into play, and it would make sense to analyze this a little bit further. There are some parcels that are not developed at all right now, and that could probably be taken out. There are some parcels that are zoned RC2 that it would make sense to have a companion zoning change. And there are certain other potential commercial applications.
So this will be a take no action by the selectmen. That will be your recommendation. The selectmen act as the sewer commissioners, as we know, and we traditionally have followed their lead on this, although there's no obligation for us to do so. Thanks, Don. Any other comments on Article 16? Or 15, excuse me. Article 16, Wero Lane, which is off of South Shore Road, one parcel, and I believe that that was voted by the selectmen last night to support. Is that correct? Any comment in the audience? Any questions? Support it.
Mr. Chairman, just to let you know, this article has two pieces to it. It's also a zoning map change, and the planning board has given us a positive recommendation.
Okay.
Hopefully you can see this parcel in relation to the surrounding district, which is in the same zoning district of R40.
So does this,
Sorry, the planning board has not taken a final action. It's advertised there was a mistake in this, so public hearing won't open and close until then, September 29th.
okay. So the sewer commissioners voted only on bringing it into the district last night. Now, does this whole, does this need a 2/3 vote all the way around?
It needs a majority vote on the sewer and 2/3 on the zoning.
And you can split them, given that it's one article?
It can be in the, it would have to be a reconsideration right now because it's merged. If it's, but the initial vote would be 2/3 for both actions.
Okay. So, it sounds like on the zoning, we'll wait for the planning board's public hearing, which will be on the 29th, so that'll be another item that I think we can have a discussion about next week, if you so desire, and then we would have to consider it on the 29th. Article 17, another zoning bylaw amendment. Andrew, as I recall, is this cleaning up 77 from last spring? 75, thank you.
So 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So basically 75 has been broken into individual parts. There was a stated level of confusion about some of those articles at the annual town meeting. So now they've been placed in individual categories. So it's essentially the same articles, just put in specific categories. And the planning board has closed the public hearing on all of these and has recommended, and I think you have the recommendations from us, but the board has recommended all of them with some modifications.
With some modifications.
Some modifications from the written article. Let me see here.
Which is that?
In 17, it's, there were no changes, so it's recommended as written. And do you want to go through these individually, or do you want to take them?
If you would go through them, I mean, if there are questions that people have, answer them, but otherwise, if you would just point out where.
Okay. Generally, so in Article 18, the entire definition of breezeway is eliminated, and it's covered in other language, mainly around an unenclosed porch. Under ground cover, there was a concern expressed by the ZBA, apparently that there are people building a 200 square foot shed with a basement and second level. So those now are specifically not included in the exempted structure for ground cover. So
It's 16 foot height and no basement.
Okay.
and lastly, so structure. There had been some discussion at the last town meeting about steps in the setback. So that was narrowed to no more than 2 steps. Occasionally, where buildings are raised or where there's some sort of grading conditions, 1 or 2 steps in the setback has required either an extensive variance or special permit hearing that we find to be unnecessary. So, and then finally, unenclosed porch. There's been some confusions about interpretations around a breezeway and a porch, and there's some language that was put in to clarify that.
And with those language changes, the planning board approved the article.
Approved and, yeah, recommended them with those changes. 19 and 20 are recommended as written, and 21 as written as well.
Committee, any questions for Andrew? We have someone from the planning board here as well who can answer questions. Yes.
Andrew, on Article 21, the containers, would that encompass a construction trailer, one of the white ones that are enclosed, with a license plate that has emergency hardware for storms, for our building stored in and left on campus?
Yeah, there's a specific allowance for use of these as construction trailers, which exempts them.
Okay.
So those are exempt and unaffected by the bylaw.
Because I know a lot of the downtown buildings that don't have the storm panels, that were told they had to keep the storm panel trailer nearby.
Storm trailers and things like that.
Which we're using right now.
Great. Any other comments on those articles? Article 22 is another zoning amendment on workforce rental community. This is a citizens article, Linda Williams. The planning board take any action on this?
Yes, this has a positive action with a one addition, which is to say that this is allowed in the CN came up during the HDC deliberations, that it's something that they actually requested, that with a slightly varied height in certain locations was desirable for them from a design consideration. So all buildings aren't at the same height, and that you could possibly put more structures in a single footprint and thereby reducing it. So again, it came out of their particular process.
Right. Linda, do you have any comments?
That's why I put it on.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions from, any other comments in the audience? Any questions from committee? 23 is another zoning map change, citizens article, Linda Williams. Planning board take any action on this?
In this particular instance, there was testimony from the property owner who had been ill during the time that this was considered. When this area was rezoned, it was a result of the citizen article. If you look at the particular map, you'll see that it's surrounded on three sides by the R40 district. And I believe when the citizen put this in, they made a deliberate attempt to leave. I'm sorry, LEG1. They wanted to leave out more agricultural properties that were located to the south of this area. And this particular property is not part of those agricultural properties. It's really similar to the other properties that got rezoned. So the board gave us a positive recommendation to merge it in with the other ones.
Linda, any comments that you?
Was that the request came through staff, but then the owner was again offline.
Mhm.
Couldn't get 125 signatures, so I just ran it around to everyone else. He did show up to the last planning board meeting and explained the situation we felt was
Thank you. Comments? Article 24, another zoning article, citizens article, Linda Williams. Planning board take action on this?
This also received a positive recommendation from the planning board. The subject property is located in the town overlay district. The current LUG2 is a mismatch to that, according to the master plan. The area is immediately south of the Kitchens Path development, where much smaller lots are allowed. So you go from 5,000 and 10,000 square foot lots to 2 acres. The board felt that, again, there's R40 properties both to the south and across the street, and that these properties were more fairly located in that district.
Okay. Linda, any comments? Question? Go ahead, Chris.
This was, is this the same, it was at annual town meeting as well, right? The same, and has it
It
changed,
was.
and has it changed at all from there? I can't remember, was it the same to R40 then?
It was the same
So it's just a resubmission of the same.
resubmission.
And we felt that it still had merit.
Yep.
And there was a lot of comments made at town meeting that were actually not based on fact. And misleading, and the public was concerned about what was actually happening.
We had a little conversation at our last meeting about special town meeting versus annual town meeting, and any discomfort about kind of voting down an annual and bring back a special, and I don't know if anybody else has any comments on that. I worry about that issue a little bit.
Any other comments? Article 25, another zoning change, citizens article. Tammy Murphy.
Mr. Chairman, again, this was a, well, the planning board gave it a positive recommendation. It's an isolated parcel that now sits in with two other properties in 2 acres, surrounded completely by 1 acre properties that are either R40 or LUG1. So, and it's sort of a holdout in the middle, and the board felt it should be properly grouped with its neighbors to the west, north, and south.
Because sewer and water, there are two is line
And, go ahead.
Right. And this article's only gonna change to that bill, right? The other two lots that are sort of islands will stay low too?
They're on the other side of the road, and they're gonna, they didn't have any interest in going in, so they got left out. Eventually, they'll probably come in.
That was going to be my question. Why aren't they all?
They didn't wanna come in.
Well, this is a citizen article again, this isn't an article that the board put forward.
Gotcha. Will you be coming forward with a town-sponsored article in the spring to bring them in, or?
Well, I think that we would if we get consultation from them that they want to be.
Okay. All right, great. Article 26, which is a home rule petition, to not reconstitute, but change the makeup of the NPEDC by removing the superintendent of the Department of Public Works from membership from the committee, and Board of Selectmen for the NPEDC. Could somebody just run the Finance Committee through the rationale, so we're...
I can, and then maybe Andrew can supplement. Basically, the superintendent of public works being on the planning commission in the first place is from the initial enabling legislation. And over the years, the town government has changed, there's a charter now, and the reporting relationships have completely changed. So I think the idea is to really update the legislation to remove what is now an employee from the planning commission, who's also no longer the superintendent of public works. It's a different position. It's part of town administration, and it doesn't really make sense for that position to be on the commission anymore. And it certainly can attend meetings, but the idea would be that it would be just more as a matter of kind of like governmental administration.
I think, over the years, it's been somewhat awkward to have a sitting employee on the commission. It takes a lot of their time away from, a whole raft of other responsibilities. It also allows us to get to an odd number rather than an even number, which we've had issues before with quorums and with 6-6 votes that can't be set.
Yep. Okay. Any comments? Audience? Okay. On Article 27, establish 20-mile-an-hour safety zones. Any comments? Chief Pittman, any background?
It's primarily intended for areas like the Mid-Island around the Stop and Shop that are commercial, congested, someplace like Sconset that has historical significance but yet has narrow roads, shared sidewalks, that kind of thing. It's not something that would generally be applied to just purely a residential neighborhood somewhere.
And obviously, you don't currently have the authority to make
Correct.
those changes.
Right. It requires an engineering study to be done to implement one, so it's a little more complicated than this 25-mile-an-hour thing that was recently
Done.
implemented.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just to clarify, weren't we given, what was it last town meeting, weren't we given permission to set our own speed limits, where the state used to?
No, it was, we adopted a regulation, a state law that allows us to designate thickly settled areas as 25 miles per hour rather than the state statutory limit of 30 miles per hour. So it only applies to thickly settled areas, and we adopted it, and the Board of Selectmen decided to make it a town-wide thing rather than a piecemeal street by street, which we could have done either way.
Any other questions? I think that's the end of our warrant. Any general questions from the audience? If not, we'll close the public hearing. It's the committee's pleasure to make any decisions on this, or do you want to take them all up on Tuesday? as many as we can on Tuesday. Do it on Tuesday.
Do it on Tuesday.
All right. Committee reports. Committees aren't meeting, so you have, the capital committee started its,
We had our first preliminary meeting yesterday,
okay.
followed by another preliminary meeting next week. And we start with real numbers.
We've got your joint meeting next week.
The 28th, yes, so everybody knows about that. We're having a joint meeting with the selectmen and the capital committee next Thursday, the 28th. Okay. We're meeting on, that's, the date of our next meeting is Tuesday, either here or downstairs in this building, at 4 o'clock, and the purpose would be to go through and fashion, I would like to get through and fashion all of our recommendations on everything that we can. And then we'll toss over to later in the month when we have final numbers on the remaining items.
Planning to get you a second draft by maybe tomorrow, but probably more over the weekend.
Okay, great.
David, what time's the joint meeting on the 28th?
4 o'clock.
So, any other business? If not, a motion to adjourn? Okay, thank you.